again. So in this second video, I want to try to help explain on some levels meditation. In Tai Chi, Yang Tai Chi, we focus heavily on standing meditation as opposed to seated. I much prefer standing, but that is how I've trained for loads of years now. Seated is a really nice way to meditate. I've never really taught it, I've only kind of experimented with it myself. I find sitting cross-legged quite tricky, to be honest. Some people do, some people don't. And I never really put the hours in maybe I should have done in order to get good at it. But from my point of view and for my martial arts, standing meditation is a never-ending way of looking at yourself, learning about yourself, learning to control your mind, learning to relax, putting up with pain and various other aspects. And that brings me on to one point where two kind of lines of thought with meditation. One is to sit or stand and suffer, helps to strengthen the mind, very character building. And the other kind of line of thought is to, you're trying to learn to relax. If things are getting a bit much, it's getting a bit painful, stop, have a shake out, sip of water, move around, go back in. So entirely up to you. I would recommend for beginners, do the latter. Just work on getting the structure, and I'm going to take you through a few basics right now. Okay, so we stand with the feet shoulder width, toes or feet parallel, so we don't want them splayed out, don't want them turned in, although you can meditate like this, but I'm just going to go with the parallel feet at the moment. As with the Tai Chi form, we tuck the pelvis under, so we don't want to be standing with the backside sticking out or head leaning forwards or back. We're trying to align the shoulders with the hips, tuck the pelvis in, and this allows the body weight to drop into the feet much more effectively. So we round out the knees. As I bend my pelvis, it moves the femurs into the knees, and you can see that instantly rounds them out. So this posture, or this element of the posture will change, especially as we're used to standing straight-legged. So it's important, as with many other things that I will talk about later, that you constantly check your posture, and throughout, no matter how long you've been training, you will be micro-adjusting your posture throughout. Yeah, and it's very important to remember to come back and just check your posture. With my feet then, as I settle the dantian and I sink the hips off the spine, rounding out the knees, you can feel the pressure change in the feet, and it's important here that we start to understand our feet in the floor. It may sound ridiculous, it does sound ridiculous, but because they're in the floor, we know they're on the floor. But what I mean is, more specifically, is where is your weight in your feet? Is it, do you list to one side? I notice with a lot of people that work in offices tend to be leaning on the desk or the arm of the chair, working the mouse, and they're like this for hours all day. God knows how they survive that, and this is why a lot of people have bad backs and necks, etc. So we're trying to move the skeleton into its most efficient position, i.e. where it takes the load out of the muscles, and the muscles can then just do as they're designed to do and work the skeleton in the way it was designed to work. Okay, so I see this straight away when most people will stand to meditate and they're like this, and they have no idea that they're like this. So it's a really good policy to, if you have one, a mirror, if you stand side onto a mirror, or even facing a mirror, or both, you can see straight away if you're misaligned or listing to one side. So when we concentrate on the feet, straight away we can feel if we're on the outside edges of the feet, whether we're tucked in, if we have, some people have funny knees that do this. Are we sitting in the heels? Are we in the toes? You feel your toes biting into the floor. So we're looking to aim the weight of the body just forwards of the heels into the arch. And 50-50 distribution again, so we're not listing. You may not feel that straight away, but trust me, when you've been standing for even a few minutes, one foot may start to go numb, etc., etc., and you'll very soon become aware that you're misaligned. So, once we've set the hips, rounded the knees out, thought about where our weight is in the foot, we need to then bring up the chest, but not the shoulders. Yeah? So we're trying to keep this alignment where we have the shoulder over the hip, over the ankles. Yeah? Or not just forwards at the ankles, including the ankles. Once we have this structure, we find then that we maintain very lightly the natural S shape of the spine. It's there for a reason. But what we want to do is, as we lift the chest and relax the shoulders, we lift the crown of the head by tucking in the chin, or you can think of it as a thread or rope pulling up the crown of the head. Now this is the bit here, not at the top of the head. So that you can see I'm not doing that, I'm doing that. When I combine this movement with the pelvis, I lift the head, sink the pelvis. You can imagine the vertebrae in the spine opening gently right from the cervical, top of the cervical spine where it joins the skull, right down into the coccyx in the lumbar spine. Really nice feeling. Nothing forced. We don't want to be, forcing anything. Just defeats the whole object. Everything is soft and relaxed, and that's very difficult to reproduce when you're learning this. But just try. So we have pelvis tucked under, chin tucked in, nothing forced, opening the spine. We then want to make sure that we're not rounded in the shoulders. Many people walk about like this, and you can tell by the thumbs are facing each other like this, you are slumped, your shoulders are rounded out. So to help align the shoulder girdle, we rotate the fingers round to the side of the thighs, just lightly touching the thighs. And you can see straight away, I was like this, arm sticking out, head down or up, as I realign everything. Yeah. I'll bring the head up. And again, as we move through meditation, this posture will change, these elements will change, and you need to remember to check on a regular basis. If you're new to this, it'll probably be every few seconds, every 30 seconds. The more advanced of you will be able to maintain that, but still need to address it at times, depending on how long you're meditating. So that's great, so that's our structure. Once we're in that, eventually, it takes a while, obviously you get quicker, we're going to close the eyes. Now, closing the eyes, again, is just one of many different methods. Many people meditate with the eyes open, just focusing on something in front of them. I was taught to close the eyes, and I think it's a much better way, especially if you're learning to meditate, because it just shuts out the visual stimulus, gives you a lot less to think about, and the focus becomes heavily on yourself, and this is what meditation is about. This is press-ups for the mind, if you like. So by closing the eyes, we begin to feel ourselves in this strange structure, if you're new to it. So we begin then to place the tongue on the roof of the mouth, keeping the mouth slightly open. Breathing in through the nose, and we're looking to take deep breaths. I usually start with a count of 3 or 4, breathing in and then breathing out for 3 or 4. But most people, when they take a deep breath, do this. And I'm sure if you do that now, that's probably what will happen, so you can test that. In the early stages, if you place your hand on your abdomen and breathe in, the abdomen expands and the shoulders don't move. And I breathe out, and the abdomen returns back to its natural position. Breathing in and out. We also need to think about not just expanding the abdomen, but expanding the body around the lower back and the sides as well. Obviously the ribs will inflate, The lungs will inflate and move the ribs, and that will bring a certain amount of tension into the breath, but that's fine at the early stages. So we're breathing in, we're feeling this kind of expansive nature of the inward breath. Count of 3, and then as we breathe out through the mouth, and we feel that all contracting, gently contracting back down. So I'm just going to do a few breaths. Doesn't make for a very exciting video. We can do an hour of that if you like. But that really is the basics of standing meditation, and I do mean basics. Yeah. So once you've adopted your posture, start to breathe. Use the counting method. You can use 3, 4, 5, whatever feels comfortable. The breath is almost a little bit forced as we elongate it, but we're looking to relax the breath down once we start to achieve that meditative state after, say, 10, 15 deep breaths. So I'm going to leave that with you. There's loads there to think about and get you well on your way to practicing or starting to practice meditation, standing meditation. I hope this helps. There will be a lot more detail coming on meditation videos. As I say, it's just a good little starter for those of you that are stressing at home. Like I say, I hope these videos find you well. I do aim to add a little bit of humour in, and with that I don't mean any disrespect to those of us that are suffering. But as I said in my previous post, it's important for those of us that are okay to stay okay, do what's asked of you, stay focused, stay strong, and hit the like button. Subscribe to my YouTube video, and there'll be more to come. Thank you.